103.2 Preston FM.
Your community, your radio.
It's your community radio, your chat city. It's Friday, it's the weekend, but I'm joined by a very smiley person called Caroline Finnegan. Good afternoon, Caroline.
Hello.
Thank you for coming in. Now, you were here last in June to promote an event, but you've just recently started leading classes in knitting at Intact Community Centre. Is that right?
That's right, yes. Last time I was here, let's see,
It was
June, I think it was, yeah.
There was an event coming up that you came to promote. Tell us how it went.
Yeah, it was an event a Preston event for International Knitting Public Day. There were events led by knitters and crocheters, all sorts of crafty people.
Crafty in the nicest sense.
Oh, of course, yes, we're all crafty.
Yep.
So there were events running worldwide, really.
Really?
And this was our Preston one. And we took over the Harry's Library on the first day, which was absolutely fabulous. Even before we'd set up, there was a woman wanting to learn how to spin.
And is that in your skills as well, spinning?
I can do a little bit, yeah.
Is that like with the old big fashioned spinning wheels that they had before?
Oh, I wish I had a spinning wheel.
So how do you do spinning nowadays?
Well, a lot of people still spin on a wheel.
Yeah.
You can get special travellers' wheels, which kind of fold up neatly to take to the pub.
Or to the local execution like they did in
Of course.
France. The guillotine. So did the event go well in June?
It was brilliant, yeah.
You got a lot of new interest?
Yeah, we were very busy at the library.
Yeah.
People there nearly all day, just learning how to crochet a little bit, do a little bit, make a few stitches.
Right.
People adding on to our very long worm.
Was that the project for the week?
Kind of. It's an ongoing thing. Call him Bertie.
Right. So will there be another national knitting event next year, do you think? Or have they not decided yet?
It will probably be run. Whether it's the same people, I expect it would be.
Right,
I can't see any reason not to run.
So I can see in your eyes that you have a passion for crafts. But when as a child did you first realise that you were, as you said, crafty? Have you always been crafty?
Always, yeah. I remember learning to knit, first of all. I've made a little snake. I should have brought him.
Oh.
And he was my first knitted piece.
You've
really
kept him.
Yes,
that's
yes.
great.
It was made from a square snake.
So as a child, you did you have sort of parental guidance and influence like, or did your aunties knit? Because I am an older sort of person, and when I was a kid, all my aunties used to knit and my mum used to knit.
Yeah.
And I did it at school.
Yeah.
Did you?
No.
Well, I did country dancing as well. Did
you?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a little old lady. She seemed quite old. I was in infant school though, and when you're 7, everyone looks old.
So I remember my knitting classes at primary school actually quite fondly because I was very proud of the things that I made, and we did crochet as well. So why do they not teach that children nowadays, I wonder? Time?
It's probably resources. Schools maybe not having the time.
Yeah.
Some teachers maybe not having the knowledge.
Do you also think that children nowadays don't value the clothes they wear? Because if your mother's knit you a balaclava or a jumper, you look after it, don't you? You don't.
Oh, of course.
You don't just use it as goalpost and lose it. So we take clothing for granted, don't we? It's cheap, cheerful, throw it away.
Yeah, there is some of that. It's nice to see that there are a lot of recycling schemes which benefit a lot of charities. There's also, a kind of refashioning kind of trend where things are remade.
Yeah, and so
lovely.
An old piece of clothing is adapted and added to become something new.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. A lot of upcycling.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. They do that in schools as well for fair trade things, and they get things that should be thrown away and they make new products out of them, which is good.
Yeah.
So you're a teacher of crafts. How long have you been doing that?
I started about 3 years ago teaching crochet to close friends.
Yeah.
And then I realised I'd like to do a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So I went into local schools and started running craft clubs there, teaching 9 and 10-year-olds how to knit and crochet. I was the little old lady.
Well, it's funny how when you're young, you think somebody is old, and then you get to that age yourself, and you think, "Oh, I'm that person."
Exactly. Yes.
So, was that Preston Schools?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it was.
So, obviously, an after-school sort of thing or a lunchtime thing, was it?
We ran it as part of what they call Golden Time. So a kind of it was a Friday afternoon kind of club they could come down to if they wanted to.
Golden Time is reward time, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
And did they take to it quickly then?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of them did.
Right.
You could spot the ones that had scissor skills.
Yeah, not stabbing each other.
Yeah.
So what are the basic skills you need to be a good knitter? Speed. My aunties used to go like the clappers.
No, you don't need speed.
So what do you need to be a good knitter?
Hand-eye coordination is good.
Yeah.
But it's something that you pick up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've some knitting here if you'd like to have a go.
Well, there's a little barrier between us, and we'll play a record in a minute. I'll come over and have a little knit and tell the listener, because I saw you brought it and it's my colour, pink. So, knitting needles, are they a weapon of war? Because there's that many different sizes, and there's big chunky ones and little ones. Why do you need different size needles?
For different weights of yarn, or for different effects. If you have a very fine yarn and knit with very thick needles, then you're going to end up with something lacy and flowy.
I'm asking daft questions, really, aren't I? Because the quality of the wool, if you've got a big chunky jumper, you need big chunky needles. Babies get knitted for quite a lot still, do they?
Yeah, they do, yeah. They're nice, quick items that you can just finish.
And christening shawls as well. They sort of get passed down in the family, don't they?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Have you ever crocheted or done anything like that?
I haven't. No, that could be a challenge.
You were telling me off air that you've still got your very first piece of knitting from school, is that right? Or was that your snake?
The thing I did in school was embroidery.
That's it, we were talking.
Yes,
see, I'm getting the crafts mixed up. Embroidery is needlework.
They're both needles, yes.
Rather than big knitting needles.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we did cross-stitch with the little old lady and
right.
making aprons.
So you're launching, or you have launched, some new classes. Tell us where they're happening and how often are they happening every week?
I've started working with Intact up at Ingle and Tanterton.
That's a great place.
It's fantastic. Yeah. The atmosphere is just beautiful.
Good.
And we've been doing some crafting for wellness classes up there.
Mm-hmm.
They run every Tuesday. It's nice if you book, but you don't need to.
Is that a daytime or an evening activity?
It's daytime.
Right.
Yeah, it's
afternoon?
Always daytime. Yes, 1 o'clock.
Right, so
1
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays.
So people don't need to live in Gull to come, and you can come from anywhere and join.
Exactly. There are people coming from all over Lancashire.
So what's that session called on a Tuesday afternoon?
It's called Crafting for Wellness.
Right.
People are generally just bringing along whatever they're interested in. So we've got some artists who come and sketch.
Right.
We've a gentleman who brings his watercolours. We've got all sorts of card makers.
Right, so it's general crafting.
It's general crafting,
and some of those may be knitters.
Yeah.
Do you have any particular just knitting classes, or?
I do. I actually teach knitting and crochet.
Yeah.
And there are a few coming up later this year.
Yeah. Well, we'll come to those in a minute because we need to get the paperwork out, don't we? You've set me a challenge, really, haven't you? Because you've brought some knitting, and I'm going to have to come round and have a little go.
You're not going to get away without it, are you?
No, but I have knit before, and I did grow up in a family of knitters. But before we play a tune and I come knit, what about those knitting machines? Because I remember my Auntie Brenda got this wonderful knitting machine, and it just went brum, brum, brum. And she knit like in 1,000,000 miles an hour. Are they still popular?
Yeah. There are people who like it.
but you prefer the handcrafted sort of style.
I don't think you can beat it. You
No.
know, there's something about 2 sticks and a piece of string that's
it's almost
magical.
It's almost prehistoric, isn't it? That you're making your own clothes and crafting. Now, I'm going to confess here. My mum used to have a wool shop.
Ooh.
My mum and dad were newsagents, and then my dad got a problem with his eyes, so they bought a business that my mum could run, and it was a wool shop. It was in Barrow-in-Furness, but the buying wool was a very complicated business because ladies come and say, "Oh, well, that's rubbish." So, is your choice of wool quite personal, or is it all good quality nowadays?
I think we're a long way from the days of scratchy acrylics.
Right, that's probably what we were doing. Yeah, where do you buy your wool?
You can buy in all kinds of places. There's a supermarket that gets American brands in.
Right.
There's a hobbycraft where I was this morning.
Yes, the sort of, there's the big craft superstores. Yeah. So if I set out to knit a sweater, which I'm going to do in a moment, it'd probably take me about a month non-stop. How long will it take you to knit, say, a cardigan for yourself? What could you do it in reasonably?
It depends what I was using.
Right.
I probably about a month.
But it's something you do to relax as well, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. I tend to have about 20 projects full for different moods.
Right. So instead of me picking up a crossword, you pick up your knitting.
Yeah.
Or instead of me putting on a CD and shutting my eyes for 10 minutes, you pick up your knitting.
I do both.
And you sort of mix and match. And,
exactly.
It's a lifestyle thing. Yeah, right. Okay, I'm up for the challenge. I'm gonna have to do it.
Go for it.
I'm gonna have to. Let's see how long this track is. Is it 3 months long? We're gonna play a song which is 2 minutes 50, which is enough for me to limp round. No, I'm fit. Oh, come on then. I'll have a go. Here's the Monkeys. A little bit me, a little bit you.
103.2 Preston FM.
Keeping it local.
Dear listeners of Chat City on Preston FM, while that record was playing, Gary has done knitting. I have this notice on my wall at home that says, what have you done today to make yourself proud? And I've knit. How did I do, Caroline?
Fantastically well.
Although you did tell me at one point, you said you're purling rather than, what did I do wrong?
It's the way the needle goes into the next stitch.
So I have actually learnt something and remembered it from my primary days, because I went through the loop. I did a loop with the wool. Mm-hmm. I pushed it down and then I whizzed it off, and that was another stitch.
Yeah.
Hey, that was great.
That was brilliant, because as you were knitting and you began to purl, your hands remembered.
I was shaking. Right, so you find it very therapeutic then and relaxing to knit?
Yeah, it's very, very good for you. Yeah. In places, I think they're running in the UK. They've started introducing therapeutic knitting groups.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Yeah? Okay.
For mind and body.
Exactly, yeah.
Now I'm thinking of my mum, who's 83, who used to be a knitter. She's now got arthritis in her fingers. But if she'd carried on knitting, she may well have helped keep her joints better, mightn't she?
Possibly. I think it's... it's about adjusting your activities to what you can do. Mm-hmm. So, she may find that a thicker needle.
Yeah, something that's not quite as
help.
fine.
Yeah.
So, okay, if my mum lived in Preston, and she doesn't, but if she did, she would come on a Tuesday afternoon, because she's a painter as well. She likes painting.
Brilliant.
But there are other knitting classes at Intact, which you run in and around, and there's a website for Intact, isn't there? We can log on.
There is, yes.
Yeah. So,
yes.
Have I got the address written down, or have you got it, or are we just going to make it up? What's this? carryyarnstitching.co.uk.
That's my website.
Yeah. So
yes.
let me say that again. That's Carry Yarn Stitching. As it's like a carry-on film, isn't
it?
Carry Yarn Stitching. Yarn as in cotton thread and yarn. carryyarnstitching.co.uk. So that's your own website. What's on there?
That's my blog, I suppose.
Right.
I tend to just talk about whatever I feel like talking about. Most of it's nitty.
Right. and no doubt there will be links, or you'll be talking about your Intact stuff up there. So that's dead easy to remember. carryyarnknitting.co.uk. You're not just a knitter. You told me that you were a scientist as well. Were you involved in the Lancashire Science Festival recently?
Yes, the Lancashire Science Festival run by UCLan.
Yeah. What did you do there? Not knitting.
We did some crochet.
Good.
Yeah, there are lots of similarities between knitting, crochet, and science programming and things. Yeah. If you think about it, following the directions on a knitting pattern is really similar to programming.
It is actually. You're right. It's and it's like at a molecular level as well. You're doing chains of molecules to create an element.
Exactly. Yeah.
God, where are we going with this?
We got a skeleton for the craft table, and we used yarn fibre to knit muscle for him, and then wrapped it round him.
So in science, muscles and fibres are the same as the craft fibres, aren't they? The cottons and the flaxes. Yeah. What an interesting link. So were you actually doing test tubes and things as well at the Science Festival? And
we had some little Petri dishes, and people were invited on the school's day to. Excuse me.
It's okay. We should have a water flag in here, but microphones and water don't go well together.
No, it's the muscle fibre.
Just swallow.
I will.
So you were Petri dishing?
Yes, we made little viruses in Petri dishes, which is quite fun, yeah.
You're talented, yeah. But what did you study when you were a student then?
Computing.
Right. So you'll know about programming, won't you?
A little.
Yeah. Tell me about knitting patterns. Do you still get them free in People's Friend magazine? Because I always remember that there used to be sheets ripped out of the magazines and left around the house.
Yeah, I've seen those. I don't know. I don't buy People's Friend or Works Weekly.
You're not old enough.
I don't feel it.
Do you create patterns yourself?
I do. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Do you write them down,
things.
or just in your head?
I write down some of them. I tend to make a design, decide I like it or don't like it.
Yeah.
If I like it, I'll make it again and write it down. Make a few improvements. So adjust it.
Do you find Christmas very easy, being a knitter?
Oh, no.
Oh, so you don't give knitted presents for Christmas?
I try not to give them to anyone, so I don't offend anyone.
Right, okay.
Because there are some people who I just wouldn't knit for. No way.
Because you could never please them? Or
because you wouldn't appreciate it.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's like you were saying earlier about how much people value clothing. You know, if they'd like a knitted balaclava, then I might make them.
I used to have a balaclava as a kid. We used to wear them for the cold weather because, blimey, it was cold when I was a kid.
I bet they were warm.
And they were, and we used to play soldiers and commandos and everything in our balaclavas. Tell me about Helen Dixon. Who is she at Intact?
Oh, Helen is the manager of the Intact Centre. She's running the Learn, Share, Grow sessions,
right?
At which the knitting and crochet
is part of. So we need to look on the Intact community website, and find out about these Learn, Share, Grow sessions. Is that sort of learn together, share together, grow together? Is that the idea behind it?
That's right. Yeah. There are a whole load of classes. It's not all knitting and crochet. There is some yoga ones. Mm-hmm. There are lots of. I think there are some Lancashire myths and legends.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Cycling for the terrified.
Do you know, I'm a bit frightened when I go on the road with the volume of cars nowadays. Not for controlling the bike, but the traffic.
Yeah.
But cycling for the terrified.
Yeah.
We've got a phone number here for the Intact Centre. It's 01772 760 760 760 760. And you can speak to Helen or anybody at the centre who'll give you all sorts of information about the Learn, Share and Grow sessions.
Yeah, they're really helpful.
And are you teaching anywhere else or just at Intact at the moment? Are you still doing your school stuff?
I haven't planned any school things yet. That would probably come after Christmas. Get Christmas and the autumn term out of the way.
Any craft activity needs to be geared towards Christmas in many schools, doesn't it?
Yeah. Just after is quite nice because we've got over the really rough bit.
Yeah. So your husband has been trying to encourage you to do a radio knitting show.
Yeah, he suggested it. I don't know how well it would work.
You'd talk to local people about knitting, and we'd have to get a webcam, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Good job there wasn't one here today for me doing that knitting. So let me just give you give your website address again, because it would be interesting to follow you if you're interested in knitting. Your website blog is?
It's www.carryyarnstitching.co.uk.
Loving it. And the Intact Centre is 01772 760 760. And there will be a website which isn't on this letter that we've got here, but you just Google Intact Community Centre and there it is. So Caroline, I've really enjoyed talking to you, and I've done something today to make me feel proud.
You've knitted.
I have.
Yeah.
If you were to give me marks out of 10, how would I be rating?
20.
Honestly, can you see the tongue inside of her cheek? Caroline, will you come back in a month or two and tell us how things are going?
I'd love to.
So thank you very much. So get in touch with the Intact Centre, let me say it properly, and take a visit to carryyarnstitching.co.uk and get back in touch with the creative crafts and make yourself a nice scarf. Caroline, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Lovely.
We've got a little track here which is going to be for me knitting. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Sunday nights from 9. Join Steve Franklin live for Preston FM's weekly request show.
Could I have some Pink Floyd for my mum?
Gino by Dixie's Midnight Runners.
Can I request 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton, please?
What a way to make a living.
Lavender by Marillion.
Sunday nights from 9. 103.2 Preston FM. The weekend stops here.